Hi guys, it's me, Carolyn Scott-Hamilton, and welcome to the Healthy Voyager's Holiday Global Kitchen. As you can see, it's the holidays here in my kitchen, so we're making a fantastic appetizer that you can serve up at any of your holiday dinners and parties. From Christmas to Hanukkah to New Year's, this is delicious. We're making chicken, so it's vegan, and mushroom pastry puffs made with a delicious cream cheese herb filling. All right, so this is what you're gonna need. 2 sheets of thawed out pastry puff dough. You can find that in the freezer section of your grocery store, so make sure you thaw it out while you're making all the filling. Then you're gonna need 1/2 cup of chopped white onion, 1/2 cup of chopped mushrooms, 2 tablespoons of vegan butter, salt and pepper to taste, 2 cloves of minced garlic, 2 tablespoons of chopped parsley, 4 ounces, which is about 1/2 cup of softened vegan cream cheese, 1 tablespoon of Dijon mustard, and then about 1 tablespoon of fresh chopped sage and thyme. I like to put them together in one bowl so that they meld together and marry those yummy flavors. You're also gonna need about 2 cups of torn vegan chicken chunks. 2 good brands to use are either Gardein or Beyond Meat. They're all delicious. Then you're gonna need about 4 tablespoons of melted vegan butter to brush onto the pastry puffs before they get popped into the oven, and a little extra parsley chopped for garnish. All right, let's get started. First, we're gonna saute the onions and the mushrooms and all the yummy, delicious garlic and herbs. So we're gonna go ahead and get our pan heated up to about medium heat. We're gonna toss in our vegan butter. You can use olive oil if you like, but I like using the vegan butter with this because it gives it a richer taste, because that's what we want around the holidays, is rich flavor. All right. Now we're gonna let that melt down, which it melts really quickly. And go ahead and toss in our onions and our shrooms. And we're gonna let this cook down a little bit until the onions get translucent but still stay a little bit crispy, because they're gonna get cooked down a little bit more once they're in the pastry puffs and in the oven. Butter, mushrooms, onions, yum. So once you see that the onions have gotten a little bit translucent, we're gonna put in the herbs. Let's go ahead and toss in that garlic now so we get all that flavor in there. Don't miss any of that garlic. Can't beat onions and garlic. Yum-alicious. Now you don't want the butter to brown or burn, and you don't wanna brown the mushrooms. You just kinda wanna get the flavors married together, because again, they're gonna have additional cooking once they're in the oven baking. Okay, so our onions are looking a little nice and translucent. So we're gonna go ahead and toss in our thyme and our sage, which is the quintessential holiday herbs. Season it up with just a tiny bit of pepper and a little pinch of salt. You don't wanna go too overboard because there's a lot of flavors in there already. All right, now once this is done and all mixed together, we're gonna take it off the heat and we're gonna go ahead and mix our cream cheese mixture. All right, so we've got this kind of where we want it. Let's go ahead and take it off the heat now. Let that hang out while we mix our cream cheese mixture. We're gonna take our cream cheese, take it in a bowl, make sure that it's room temperature because you're gonna wanna be able to mix it nicely. And then we're gonna take our Dijon mustard. This gives it that nice tangy flavor. And then our parsley. All right, so we've got everything in this bowl. So again, make sure that your cream cheese is nice and softened, not straight out of the fridge, because then it'll be impossible to mix everything. Just kind of want to make sure that everything's well incorporated so that you don't miss any of that yummy mustard and parsley in your cream cheese. This is all part of this delicious filling. All right, so we are all done mixing. It is time to assemble our pastry puffs. Okay, so now we're gonna start working with the pastry puff dough. By now it should be thawed out. You have to wait until it thaws out, but you don't wanna wait until it's too gooey because then it's really hard to work with. We're gonna go ahead and just flour our surface a little bit, not too much because you don't want it to get too nutty, but that way you'll keep it from sticking to the surface. So we're gonna just flour it up a little bit. We're gonna use 2 pastry sheets at a time, so let's flour this whole surface. Okay. Again, this might be the fun part for kids. All right, so now that we've got that floured, we're gonna take one strip and we're gonna roll it out. They usually come in a skinny box, so make sure that you don't tear one sheet from the other because they are folded over. You can also use phyllo dough if you want, but pastry puff dough, if this is the first time you're making these, might be a little bit easier because it's a little easier to work with. I love pastry puff dough because when you make stuff out of pastry puff, people think that you're a rock star cook. And it's super easy because all you have to do is unroll it, fill it, and bake it. All right, so once you've gotten it flattened, make sure to check it for any holes or any thin parts. Kind of fill those guys in so that you don't have too thin of parts that are gonna explode in the oven. Make sure that's nice and flat. And now what we're gonna do is we're gonna cut them into squares and then we're gonna fill them and then close the edges up like little purses. So you just take a sharp knife and you just kind of do a line as best you can. Doesn't have to be perfect. And we're gonna make kind of big guys. Let's make some rectangular ones this time. They'll be more like entree size than appetizer size. All right, so now we have our squares to work with. So what we're gonna do first is we're gonna put a layer of the cream cheese and Dijon on the bottom of each one and just spread it on. And what you wanna be careful of is you don't wanna overfill them because then it'll be hard to close them. So just make sure that it's a nice thin layer because we still have to layer on the mushroom and onion mixture and then the chicken. About a teaspoon size is perfect. And you wanna leave the corners and the sides a little bit empty because you want room for the butter. You're gonna put some melted butter on the corners so that it sticks together. Okay, so we've gotten these all coated. And if you have any leftover pieces of dough that aren't perfectly square or don't have enough surface space to fill, go ahead and take it, roll it up, and flatten them out again, and you can get a few more servings out of it. All right, so now we're gonna take the mushroom and onion mixture and put a nice single layer there. Again, don't overfill these guys because then you won't be able to close them. Some good filling up in these guys. And then after this, we're gonna top it off with some chicken chunks. Butter them up and bake them up for some extra guys later. All right, so now we're just gonna put a little bit of the chicken in each one. They look really cute as an appetizer in the middle of the table around the holidays. And you can totally do these without the vegan chicken if you want because they're absolutely delicious as is. You can put spinach in them, artichoke, super yummy. Fill however you like. All right, so we're gonna save these guys for future servings. All right, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna take our butter, our melted butter, and we're gonna just brush the sides. You wanna do it somewhat generously, but you also wanna save some for once they're sealed because that way, when we seal them, we're gonna brush them on top so that it gets nice and golden brown and crispy in the oven. So, and it's okay if it's a little messy because again, the richness, the flavor of the butter can totally meld with the flavors in the filling. It's really yummy. This is gonna help seal the sides. If you were making a non-vegan version, most people would use an egg wash, but I use this because it helps seal it together and just add some more flavor. It's okay if you've got little guys jumping out of their serving. You can poke it back in once we make the purses. All right. So now that this one's just about done, it's time to form them into the little purses. And then we're gonna put them on an ungreased cookie sheet. We've already preheated our oven to 400 degrees. And we're gonna bake them for about 25 minutes until golden brown. If you see that they are coated up and cooked up nicely beforehand, go right ahead and take them out. But 25 minutes is usually the norm. So now we're gonna take each corner like so, and we're gonna squeeze that together and take that corner and this corner. And if you have some misshapen pieces, it's totally fine. You can kind of do it like a little present because ultimately they're just gonna look so pretty and golden brown. So then you're gonna put seam side down onto the cookie sheet, ungreased cookie sheet, and into diamonds. As long as the seam side is down, that way it'll seal up nicely on the bottom and not open up. So once we're done making the purses, we're gonna coat one more time with the melted vegan butter, and then they're ready to bake. And make sure if there are any holes or pockets, you seal them up so they don't explode in the oven, and then all your yummy cheese filling is gonna pop out. And they're not gonna expand too much like a cookie dough, but evenly place them so there's enough space in between each one. So we're just about done with our last little puff dumpling. Again, we put them down seam side down. So we've got these babies on here. We're gonna do one last brushing of vegan melted butter so that they get nice and golden brown and crispy while they're in the oven. This time you can really brush generously. Do kind of all around, let it drip. This just makes it taste and look so much better. And they're just about ready to get popped in the oven. Make sure you don't miss any of the backs, the corners, because you want it all to be nice and flaky. All right, these guys are ready to go in the oven for about 25 minutes at 400 degrees. I will see you in a little bit. These smell delish. All right, so you can just serve these up warm. They're fantastic. Go ahead and just scoop them right up. Again, they were on an ungreased cookie sheet because there's so many yummy oils already in there. Yummy, yummy butter. Serve them with some pretty guys. And then we've got just a little bit of garnish so that we can make it look pretty on our holiday table. Scooch this over. All right, let's just get a little bit of this parsley to give it some color. Green is one of the colors of the season. All right, well, these are all set to go on my holiday table. If you try this recipe, I wanna know. Send me your photos and your comments and your questions and your requests down below in the comment section. Make sure you subscribe to my channel so you don't miss any of my videos. Just click right there. Make sure you go to healthyvoyager.com to subscribe to my newsletter and check out all my holiday recipes and tips. And don't forget to follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, and everywhere on social media. At Healthy Voyager is where you can find me. I hope you enjoyed this dish. I'm gonna go do it myself, and I hope you have a happy and healthy holiday season. Bye.